Everybody, it's me, Andrew. I'm here in Asheville visiting my sister Cynthia Thornton of Green Girl Studios and her family. Today what we're doing is we're going to be making some backgrounds for photo shoots and for product. Also, they can be used for home decor. So what we did is we got a pack of these pre-stretched canvases. These are gallery wrapped, which means that the canvas goes over the sides and there's no staples on the sides. I like those because it gives it a little bit of a cleaner, more finished look. As you can tell though, with the gallery wrap canvases and the pre-stretched canvases, is that sometimes they can be a little loose. A trick to solve that is to take hot water. I used this to clean off my brush earlier, so it's a little bit milky, but any hot water will work. And just work it into the back and make sure you get where it goes where the creases are. And as it dries, it's like a drum. And it will tighten up and those creases will disappear and you'll have a perfectly smooth surface. The next thing we're going to do is use gesso. And basically it's a primer for your painting projects. Now gesso is a it will help keep the pH balance neutral. It's calcium carbonate that's been mixed with a polymer. It'll also give it a nice tooth for your paint to stick, and it will also make it not have the canvas super porous. So what we're going to do is we're just going to paint it on. Now you also want to make sure that as you're painting on the surface with the gesso, that if say your brush loses any bristles, to pick it out while the paint is still wet. Otherwise we'll have a raised crease and the paint will kind of be highlighted in a certain way, which is not bad for some techniques, but if you want it to be super smooth, then you probably won't want to do that. Now if you want, you can build up several layers of gesso and you can actually sand the gesso to make it super smooth, and it's almost like painting on like plaster or some other surface. Now who all is out there?
Julius Towers was there. Gina just says hello.
Hi Gina.
Diane Lynn's out there. Tish. Beverly Herman is there.
Oh good, we've got a big crowd from all over. So what are you guys doing this weekend? Any fun projects? So this is not going to be super interesting because all I'm doing is painting these white with the gesso. But once we do that, then we'll do some different painting techniques with acrylic paint.
And what are these going to be for?
The backgrounds for pictures and products. What are those? We're going to use these different Brusho crystal colors. The one thing about those is that they're super saturated in color. So if you don't want it to be super technicolor, then what we'll do is we'll spray a fixative or do a light wash of acrylic gel medium, and then go back over with a watered down gesso or a zinc white, because zinc white is semi-translucent.
Beverly says it's a quiet weekend for her this weekend.
Are you in New Orleans? Do what?
The Etsy.
Oh, and then while I'm painting this and getting these ready for our project later this evening, one of the things I wanted to talk about is Cynthia's Etsy competition. Currently she has about 800 votes, but she needs more to win. One of the things you can do is go to her Instagram or Facebook page, or look at my Facebook page, and there'll be a link to the competition. The winner gets $10,000, and the money that they raise will be used to update their casting facilities. And that's a huge, will make a huge difference in their lives, because it will make their casting process a little bit easier, and it will also allow them to produce more. And as you know, as my family is an artist family, so whatever they make goes directly into the lives, the quality of their lives and their children's lives. And so it's really important to support people that you believe in and want to see succeed. It only takes a minute to vote. All you have to do is add your email address and click vote. And if you're worried about, if you have a friend who's also doing the competition and you're worried that your vote isn't going to count, you can vote as many times as you want for different people who are in the running, so you don't have to feel as though one way or the other.
Storms are rolling in, Beverly says.
Oh,
Heather
really?
Lauren says hi.
Stay safe.
Beverly said she'll vote tonight, and Heather DeSimone is saying hello, Andrew.
We miss you. How's Arizona? I love the new earrings, the new Lady Love earrings that you've been making. Super colorful and fun, perfect for spring. Now, are any of you guys out in Las Vegas for the glass show out there?
Heather says it's hot and lovely.
A big change from Maine, huh?
She says thank you, miss you guys too.
Are you gonna go to Tucson this year, since you're so close? We're thinking about it. It'll be fun to go back. We haven't been in a while. And while we're here in Cynthia's studio, I'm gonna not steal some of her projects, but show you some.
She said she'll be there.
Take a look at these bad boys. Greg made these.
Sorry, our light is so dark in here.
They're sculpting tools, and are they steel?
Yeah.
They're all steel, and look at the cool patterns in that. Isn't that neat? And they've got different angles. These are super great for wax carving because you can heat them up and you can add the wax, or you can wipe it off and scrape it away. They're great for encaustics because you can mark make. They're good for sculpting. Super good. I think she's got some in her Etsy shop. Or she did at one point.
Or she will again soon.
These are cool.
She said she's even going down for the fall show.
Oh, good.
She said hello to Cynthia too.
She's working over there. Now this is a new piece that Cynthia made. It's a hairpin, and it's made of cast bronze. And it's pretty cool because it's got the little double prongs.
Thanks, Letitia, for voting. We'll see you in the morning.
Oh, are you gonna
She's
come
gonna
by
watch the rest in the morning.
Oh, good. And then she's also got these new brass rings, which are super cool. There's this snake, which is neat. The nice thing about that is that it's adjustable. So if you happen to indulge a little bit in some salty treats or take a plane flight, you can easily stretch it out to accommodate where you're changing.
Or you get cold in the winter and you can shrink it.
Exactly so. That's a very
Let's
important
talk about getting
thing.
smaller too, right?
Yeah. Well, Pennsylvania gets cold in the winter. I have my winter rings and my summer rings, but if you've got an open kind of ring like that, then it's pretty
good.
cool. Now another one, you might know my niece Azalea. She carved this stamp, and it's in bronze.
Say hi to everyone.
Hi.
Now this stamp is got kind of a tribal look to it. It's pretty cool.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, so I'm gonna commission her to go into sweatshop mode and make a couple for the store. And we've got a couple new pieces that are going to be coming to our Etsy shop
In just a few minutes.
which is pretty exciting. Take a look at this bee.
I love this bee. Oh, we're getting really dark in here now. The sun's going down.
Luckily, we've got a lovely neutral background that you can clearly see all the good stuff. So this bee, it's got holes so it can be strung on the side, so your beads can come like that. We've also got this.
Beverly says she likes that too.
I love bees. Bees are a symbol of hard work and community, and they make honey. So, this is called the Home and Family Nest bead. It's got the words family on the side, and it's got the word home, and it's got a little bird on the front or the back, and it's got a little nest on the other side. Now also we've got this really cool snake. It's the mystic snake. It's all curled up in a little ball. It's got these really cool kind of alchemical symbols that are swirling around. Cynthia, bring around that painting that you're working on. And Cynthia's working on a... Oh, don't set it on the... Isn't that cool? She's doing a series called Night Drawings, and basically she's taking her sketchbook and kind of offloading her ideas and kind of creating little paintings in her sketchbook.
This area has been painted over. You can see the underdrawing was some jewelry design that didn't work out.
It looks good though. I like the symbols. And in the white it really pops out over the background, and it kind of has an opaque, which kind of balances out with kind of that galaxy ethereal. And the watercolors that she's using have a little bit of crushed stone pigments. And the crushed stone pigments have a little bit of sparkle to them, so they make your pieces almost like little jewels. And actually some of them are made of semi-precious stones.
Yeah, this is sodalite, garnet, and what's the pink one?
Rhodochrosite.
Rhodochrosite. And then this is the green chromium dioxide. And they're surprisingly saturated, like the color.
Just don't eat that one.
Oh, I don't eat those. And I don't even lick my brushes. No way, I don't want to get crazy.
Yeah. Some of those stones, when they're...
Look how bright this one is.
They're not exactly healthy for you.
This one's so chromatic. It's like day glow.
But those are from Daniel Smith. And Daniel Smith is out of Seattle, which is pretty cool.
Look at this, my palette, isn't that cute?
Yeah, the palette box Cynthia made.
Handmade palette.
And it's pretty neat. If you're a painter, then you know it's not always easy to find palettes that, for one, stay closed, number two, accommodate the colors that you'll need. So the fact that they kind of have a multi-purpose to them is super great, especially if you're going to do like plein air painting, or if you're going to do anything where you need to take it on the go. It's really a useful tool. And they're in, are they brass or?
They're brass.
They're brass, and then the inserts for them are made of an enamel coated metal, so that the paint can kind of...
You can pick one of these out, Andrew, whatever color you like.
Score.
The red,
But take a look at the back. So
the
this,
Tiffany blue.
you can see how they're...
Which would you pick?
Red.
I like the red.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do. Maybe we'll have
Maybe
you...
when you get mature.
Maybe I'll have you do one of your symbols on the cover for extra fanciness.
Extra
But I like this because
You
with
can
the
switch your
white,
palettes.
with the white kind of inserts, you can clearly see your colors. And that's really important because when I was working in art school on my paintings, I would have a palette and I would just layer the paint, layer the paint, layer the paint. And my colors would be a little off every time. And the reason why is because they were either picking up colors underneath that were kind of resaturating and adding their own particular poopy color to the paint, or I wasn't able to see the color clearly. And so having a clear, neutral background really allows you to see the colors that you're going to be working with. And one of the techniques that the Impressionists used to make their paintings so vibrant and so juicy is they used white backgrounds. Previously, like with the Venetians, they had a color that was almost like a brick red color, and they call that Venetian red. And what it does is it really kind of juices up the like skin tones and kind of adds colors. And
Denise and Laurel just joined.
Oh, great. Good to see you guys. Well, kind of, because I don't see anything. But I'll pretend like I see you guys. So Cynthia just handed me a viewfinder. And this is super useful to kind of isolate the colors.
Like this
for
is,
one.
you can see the tiny, you can see like you can really find a color.
Yes.
I don't know if you can see that. Does that show up?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when you've got two colors next to each other that are different, and say one is brighter or one is a different color, like contrasting color, is it's called cast color. So if you have a blue next to a red, the blue tint will kind of cast color on the red and kind of create almost a purple hue. If you want to find the true red of it, you want to take something like this, which is really simple. It's just a piece of plastic. It's a neutral medium gray, and it's got a hole, and it blocks out everything, and you can see the color very clearly of what it is.
Yeah.
Now, the best thing to do is also to look in natural sunlight. Natural sunlight won't affect the color. Like if you have a neon, like some of the overhead lights have a little bit of a blue cast.
It's a different white point, right?
Yeah, and it will have, because white light is made up of all different colors. So sometimes those colors have a warmer glow or a colder glow.
Like light bulbs are yellow usually.
Yeah, like the incandescents or the LEDs kind of have a blue chop shop kind of light. Which is useful for some things, but if you want to see, the work that you're working on clearly, I've got my studio set up with OT lights, which is super useful. And as you can see with like Cynthia's workstation, there's lights so that your eyes don't get strained and you can properly see your work area. Another thing, the viewfinder, it's a little bit larger than this, and it's strung up with different, almost like a grid pattern. And when I say almost, I mean it is a grid pattern. And the grid pattern helps you break your composition down into smaller elements. And that way, people will say, oh, I can't draw that face. Well, if you can draw a line, then if you look at that little broken down square and you see a little line, you can draw that line and kind of connect the lines, and eventually your composition will kind of come together. And that's a technique also that the Impressionists and plein air painters and people who are doing these really amazing compositions kind of on the fly, they would just set it up on their easel over their work and kind of be able to see the colors and block it out. It's a way of training the eye to break down a bigger picture into smaller, more manageable sizes. So at this point, the gesso is drying, and we'll probably add another layer of gesso. But I wanted to come back over here and show you a couple more beads that we're going to be adding to our Etsy store. Another goodie is this little platypus bead. When we were kids, we really loved the platypus because it was a creature of the earth and the sea. It was the duck and kind of a fuzzy critter.
Misfit.
A little misfit. We always like the things that, you know, stick out and need a home. And in the animal kingdom, it always seemed like something that was between elements, kind of like a flying fish. Another new guy. Are these all the new ones that we're gonna be adding?
Another new one is the ocelotl.
I don't actually know how to say that right, but
Axolotl.
they're super cute.
They are adorable.
They've got little fan ears that I'm sure are gills and useful for breathing underwater or for fun decoration. I don't know.
They filter the water.
But they're super cute. They've got little eyes and little pink bodies. We'll also have a couple of these. I think Cynthia will have these in her online store soon. She did some drawings while she was down in Florida, and they did some prints. And this is a bird girl with a little root baby. If you're not familiar with the bird girl kind of iconography, in a lot of cultures, if you look it up, it's not necessarily always seen as a positive, and they called them harpies. And I think one of the things you get when you look at symbolism is you have to look at it through the filter of that culture. So the Greeks, they didn't really value and appreciate women very much. So people who were seen as free spirits, or people who were communicators of messages or of the other world, were seen kind of almost as monsters. So that definitely put a spin on it. But if you travel down to Egypt, the symbol of the soul was a character named Ma'at, and she was represent. Well, Cynthia says Matu, but Ba,
B-A.
the soul.
Symbol of the soul flying through the top.
But anyway, so there's this bird girl creature who would fly around, and it was the symbol of the soul. And when they would kind of measure your worth, they would measure your heart against the feather. And if your heart was heavier than the feather, then they would throw your corpse to the eater of the dead, which was this crocodile, furry crocodile creature that would eat you up. And then that's kind of like game over. But if you were good, then you got to go on a raft into the western lands with all your fun stuff. And for people who couldn't afford a giant pyramid and kind of all of their servants and stuff like entombed with them, they'd make little clay figures. And if you've ever been to the Met, they've got an amazing gallery where they've put all of the Egyptian artifacts, and they have one of those spirit houses kind of there, and you can see the little baskets of fruit, and it's pretty cool, and which is another source of inspiration. But for us, the bird girl is really a symbol of the finder of lost things. They have wings and can kind of they're messengers and can kind of control the elements of the wind and of word and kind of create something that's otherworldly. So we see them as good things, and we hope that you guys see them as good things too, because they are, and they've been a symbol that we've been using since childhood. And it's so funny because a lot of the things, like we talk about root babies, and there's kind of a history that goes along with the mandrakes or other kind of bizarre botanica that has kind of humanoid kind of features. But for us kids, we didn't really know. We didn't, we grew up in a kind of low income, kind of not with a lot of access to a lot of information like that. So a lot of what we came up with were stories that we told ourselves. And later we had access to the library, which was an amazing kind of escape from poverty. So to bring that down a little bit. But we're up. But so...
Tell the story about how Grandma told us how the
The
knots in
babies.
trees were babies in baby trees.
So, my grandma and grandpa, they lived in an area called Piggott, Arkansas, which is in the Ozarks and kind of not super, their income was kind of going down in that area. And so along the train tracks, there were activities going on that were not suitable for us youngsters to know about. But since we stayed up late and watched Dynasty and Knots Landing in Dallas, we were kind of down with the game. So we would kind of torture our grandparents by asking them questions about sex, and it would make them deeply uncomfortable, which we found kind of enjoyable, which is kind of sounds bad, but it was funny. So anyways, we were out in the woods and we were asking Grandma where babies came from, and she really didn't know how to properly address that question. So we came up to a tree and it had a great big burl in it, which, if you don't know what a burl is, it's kind of like when there's a disease or a bug or something that infests the tree, it creates like a bulge on the tree. And so she said that the babies came from the knots in the trees. And so that's one of those things, like, even though our grandma was she's Christian and a Southern woman and a good Southern woman, there's a lot of that Appalachian kind of Ozarks folklore that they believed in. And it was like whenever somebody would pass away, they would tell it to the bees, and the bees would kind of spread the word of the person's passing. And there's all these little sayings that she would have and kind of things, but that's much deeper, longer conversation to be had on another day. But while we're here, we've got some more beads that are going to be added. Okay, well, I would love to show you more layers of gesso, but I don't know if Robert Ryman's white on white paintings are going to be your flavor at this point. We'll check back later with some more process shots, but for now, we'll say adieu.